Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gens Before Friends. I am here with my lovely co-host, Queen AMG,
Hello.
and we're going to talk about the latest chapter in DVD, Sinister Grace, because there is a lot of controversy going on
There
if,
is.
if you've been living under a rock. We are going to be talking about the new chapter and some other things that were updated along in the Sinister Grace chapters, such as the Myers rework and some perk updates. But we are going to get started talking about the Krause, which is the killer in our new chapter. And the Krause comes from, I believe it's Thailand folklore, but basically it's a woman that during the day she is normal, but at night her head can detach from her body and like all of her organs and entrails are hanging off of the head. And so it's very gross. This is probably the most grotesque
Mhm.
killer we have. That's kind of the aesthetic, and they came up with a lot of cool cosmetics for her. Let's talk about the power because she was buffed from PTB to live, and I think it kind of initially flew under the radar because PTB was which we'll talk about later, had the other anti-tunneling, anti-slugging in there as well. When she came out live, they buffed her for some reason, and now she is probably the most OP killer in the game right now. But let's talk
Yeah.
about the different parts of her power because there's several things. So she has the ability for her to switch between like her normal body and her head form is the corporal weave. The body and the head form is interesting, have different terror radius. So her body form is a 32-meter terror radius and the head form is 40-meter, so Wesker terror radius. So that's what they call when you switch between the body and the head form. The other effect she has is the leech. So she has like, what would you call it? Like a spit effect. Like she spits at
Yeah.
you and infects
hmm
you. But it's like it can bounce though. It's kind of like a ball. Like, and so if you target it towards like a wall or ceiling, it'll actually splatter. But it does not splatter if you hit the ground though. So just a little tip. Aim for walls, pallets, stuff like that. But if you hit a survivor with your spits, then they are infected. And then ideally, that's when, as killer, you want to switch to the head form because you can down the survivor with your intestinal whip, which is her other special ability. So in head form, she has a couple things. She has this headlong flight. So basically, she's speedy. She's like Wraith in the head form.
hmm
Now, it does have like a charge meter, so it's not like endless like Wraith is. So you can only use it for so long. But then she comes out of that and basically this flight allows you to get right up on survivors and then immediately hit them with the intestinal whip, and that can injure and then down survivors if they're infected. Now if they're not infected and you hit them with the intestinal whip, they only get partially infected. I believe it's 3 hits to get them fully infected. So ideally you want to use the spit, which is, I see now it's called the regurgitate. You're basically spewing at the survivors again with this.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's supposed to be though, like blood.
It
They
looks like
just,
blood. It's red.
yeah, it's very red. I'm trying to read
hmm
in here. It doesn't really say like what it is, and I'm not really up on. I don't even remember when I read her lore. It doesn't really like talk about the power. So anyway, so ideally, the way you play her is you're in body form. You want to use the regurgitate to infect survivors and then switch to the head and down them in the head form. Within the head form, you can vault pallets still and zoom around. You can still use the flight around loops and basically get right on top of
hmm
survivors and down them. And so on the survivor end of that, we have there's fungus, glowing fungus you can find around the map. And so if a survivor is infected, what they have to do is eat the fungus, and the meter for the leech goes down over time. So it's not immediate; it goes down gradually, but I wouldn't say it's too long. Let's see. It says, I'm trying to see if it says here. I don't think it says in the notes how long it takes for the fungus to take full effect. So yeah, there's fungus now. And there's fungus among us.
Yeah.
And I haven't really found anything too special in trying to like eat the fungus and chase or anything like that. You do walk slower while you eat it. And you can carry it and bring it to another survivor that is infected. That's her power.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So what are your thoughts, Queen? Like hopefully that was a
So the
decent run through
power,
of like everything going on with her.
yeah, the power is kind of similar to the unknown
Mm,
projectile.
that's a
That's
good
how I've kind of
analogy.
equated because with the unknown, he hits you with the UVX projectile, you get the status effect of being weakened. If you look at him, you can kind of down that weakened state. And so with her, the opposite is you just have to find a mushroom. I feel like she does a lot, and I don't know why they buffed her upon release. And there were even some buffs that apparently went undocumented according to the DBD wiki with some of the things that they buffed and they didn't necessarily announce, but I guess it was intrinsic to how her power worked. I'm not sure how to counter her. And there's all these funny videos on social media that's like how to counter the cross suit, and it's nothing.
No, there is
I
one
think
counter that
someone,
does kind of
yeah,
work that you posted.
there's one counter that does kind of work in regards to when she does her little power charge dash thing. If you're on a slope or if you're by a window or possibly a pallet and you crouch, she might go over you.
I've got it to work
So
once, but it's
yeah, I think it's very situational depending on the map, depending on when you're looping. A lot of people were like looping her in shack and then kind of running down the stairs, crouching, and she would fly over them to kind of extend chase. But there's also a lot of videos on social media that show her hitting through really weird spots on the map or hitting through pallets. People trying to figure out like how big is this hitbox for her to be able to do things like this. But it doesn't feel super awesome playing against her right now. I would have rather they released her as she was and then make fixes because everybody right right now we all agree. So there's not like people saying she's not OP. Everybody is agreeing that she is very OP and it doesn't feel awesome playing against her. And that's from killers who are playing her and survivors who are going against her. So as a community, we're all like, why did this happen? But I have yet to escape against her.
we escaped once because she
So,
was nice to us. There was one nice one,
oh, there was
but
one nice one.
not
She
in
thought we were
escaping.
cute.
Not escaping by like actually playing the game and getting the gens
Yeah,
done. Like we made friends with one with our
we made
instruments, I
friends with
believe.
one.
I think we played her a song.
Yeah, as she was mooring somebody, we
That's
went up
right.
behind her and we gave music to the mooring, and she said that we were adorable and let us finish like I don't know the last 2 to 3 gens and then let us out
Yeah. Thank
because we were
you.
just being cute.
You're being funny.
I
I was
think
like, well, it's
yeah,
like two of our teammates are dead, so it's like I was like, let's play the music. Well,
yeah,
Maury is this
yeah.
person. Like,
Mocking had the guitar and I had the tambourine, and as she was mooring the person, we gave her a little concert and she liked us.
yeah, getting the band together. Behavior, we
Mhm.
need more instruments. Okay, we need a full band. Let's
I
get to
think
it.
the other time we got out, I think it was the cross suit, we started to like severely body block for somebody and then you were crawling around her and she was trying to get away from you and then we lived. We did we
Yeah.
live in that one I think we lived in that situation as well.
But
But
overall, yeah, you're not getting out. Because
yeah,
the problem is there's just no counter to her with the flight and the whip. And I think they buffed like her vaulting speed with in the head form. They just like buffed her all around, and I don't think it was needed at all. And like Queen said, like it's better to like start with her not being strong and make her stronger because we have had a bug fix since release where they nerfed her, but not really. Like, no one can tell a difference. They didn't nerf her in a significant way. So, and I think they are going to do some more changes to her. I guess one of the things we can talk about it here is that the problem with her infection is the infection doesn't go away after you get unhooked. So if you're infected when you're hooked, you're infected when you come off hook. So then she just
Mhm.
goes back in her head flight, comes back to hook. She's really good at tunneling. And that's kind of the
Mhm.
overall issue. And we didn't get the anti tunneling update with this chapter. So now we have a killer that's designed to tunnel, even though that's probably was not Behavior's intention, but
Intention.
she does it really well because you're still infected. And I think the
Mhm.
easiest way to fix that is that when you're unhooked, you're not infected anymore. Now, that may not make logically any sense, right? Like you're infected and then all of a sudden you're not unhooked. But to me, that's the easiest way to kind of fix it right now, or at least try that and see how it changes her gameplay.
Mhm.
Because I know that doesn't really work because we have plague where if you're infected on hook, you're still infected when you're unhooked. But the
Yeah.
problem with the Krause is she has mobility. Plague doesn't have mobility. So the Krause can just zip across the map in her head form, and she can make it across a whole large map with the charge and just come back to hook. So
Mhm.
unless you're running anti-tunneling perks, DS, or your teammates are running perks like borrowed time or something to help you, you're gonna just get tunneled out. That's really what a lot of our matches have been against Akarasu is
Mhm.
her just tunneling people out. And she was designed this way. Now we have talked about behaviors, intentions, and if they know their own game or not. So maybe they just didn't think about this, but that's how people are playing her, and I can't really blame them because it logically makes
Makes
sense.
sense.
She's just too she does kind of have too many things. Like, I never thought of her being similar to the unknown. You are right. She is very similar to the unknown
Mhm.
with the projectile. And then with her, you just switch the head form, you down them where unknown, you just hit the projectile again.
Mhm.
But unknown doesn't have this, flight
Yeah.
ability, and she does. And it just makes it so you can't get away from her. Because when I played her on PTB, I feel like the flight was very different. The head form was a bit different, like perspective wise. But she didn't feel that OP in PTB. And then suddenly she comes out and
Mhm.
she's like dominating hardcore.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
She's this weird combination of the unknown and the blight.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I feel like. And from
With
a survivor
infection
with infection,
or
yeah.
plague
And
infection,
from
kind
a
of.
kind of, yeah, that's a
Mm
great way to think of it. And as a survivor, especially when we realized that she kept coming back to the hook, almost every, unless actually I was about to say unless they're already in chase, but the last couple matches we had yesterday, she actively left chase to come back to
hmm.
the
Mm hmm.
hook
Yeah.
when we were unhooking. So as a survivor right now, one of the best things you can do is if you're going to unhook somebody and they're infected, bring them a mushroom, drop it before you unhook them, they can grab the mushroom and you got to run. They need to eat the mushroom and then heal them. Don't heal them first because if they're still infected,
Doesn't
they're
matter.
only it doesn't matter because once you heal them, if they stay infected and they don't have that mushroom, they're going to get injured again.
They get broken, right? When full
They get broken.
infection. Mm-hmm. Full
Yeah,
infection hits, they're broken. So healing them doesn't make any sense if they're infected.
doesn't make any sense.
But
So,
like the flight, I think my main complaint discussing this is the flight ability because
mhm,
like we had a game yesterday where I had to like body block for this Nancy because she came back to the hook and poor Nancy did get tunneled out. But like I was
yeah,
body blocking for her because even if you unhook, say you unhook and then you run away from hook, like she just still has the flight. Like if you're leaving scratch marks and blood, like
gotta walk.
but still, like if you don't have iron will, like I feel like it's just like a no win where like she's gonna find you probably.
Hmm.
And so then like Nancy was running and I'm following her because the Krause is right behind us in the flight form. But it's just kind of like in the end, best case scenario, she goes after me instead. But more than likely, what's going to happen, I'm going to get hit, and then she's just going to go for the Nancy. She's
She's
going
gonna
to,
go,
yeah.
which she did.
Or she could down me, slug me, and then go for Nancy. Like, it's just all kind of like you're biding time. There's just really not anything you can do to counter the Crossu. It's just not fun to go against. And like, it's kind of sad because I do kind of like the aesthetic of her and that
Oh
they're
yeah,
doing
she's
something
pretty.
from Asian folklore. And she's very gross. She's,
Mm.
she's probably, like I said, the grossest killer we've got with the intestines and all that hanging out. And we do have a killer with the third person perspective again, as first and third.
Hmm.
When you're in the head form, you're in third person perspective. But a different perspective than like when you play Chucky, you're like higher
Hmm.
up in the head form. It's like interesting. She's interesting, like aesthetically, but like playing her like sucks to go. She sucks to go against. And I don't know if killers out there like I've played her a bit, but I kind of feel bad because I don't want to like. It feels like just easy winning. Like
Yeah, there's definitely been a decrease in seeing her around.
yeah, we
I
didn't
think
see
we
her too
got
much
her all
yesterday.
of like 2 times yesterday in the
Mm-hmm.
10 matches we played.
I
But I
think
have
so.
noticed, and a lot of killer mains have posted that on their social media. They just at this point feel bad playing her due to, I guess, how easy it is to, get that win.
Well, that's how I felt when Ghoul came out too. I was like, I don't want to play Ghoul
Yeah,
because it's just like
I'm
he
still
was
like, pretty
oppressive
cool.
as well. Still oppressive. Like
Yeah, that's kind of our thoughts on her right now. But I think collectively as a community, we're all just like, why did you buff her so much? Just put her out there, see what happens, and you can tweak as needed. But everyone, even before the buffs, so Scott played PTB for a very long time because he liked playing her so much, but he had that opinion even before the buff that she was an extremely strong killer. She could maneuver very well, and that at certain loops, there was just nothing you could do to not get hit. But unfortunately, because of the buff, there were some tiles and loops she was weaker at. That's not the case anymore. She is kind of overall strong all around for each tile, each type of loop, and with pallets, there's really nothing you can do, even when you're at a pallet, to kind of not get hit because of how she was buffed. So I know she's fun to play, but I think collectively the community is like, this is it's a little too overtuned.
yeah,
You need
and
to tune it back.
again, they did a bug patch fix on the September 30th, and basically they like tweaked the numbers. So, real quick, what they did was they increased the initial number of the fungus to 5, it was 4, and decreased the maximum number to 6, it was 8. Decreased the time which intestinal whip ignores obstructions to 0.35 seconds was zero point 0.6. Increased the head form pallet vault time to 2 seconds, it was 1.7 before. And the head form window vault time to 1.8 seconds was 1.7. And then increase the head form pallet stun time to 2.5 seconds, and it was 2 seconds. So they like tweaked the numbers, but
Hmm.
I mean, we went against her yesterday. I don't notice a difference. Like, I feel like this is all so slight. Like, you're
Yeah.
talking about a point of a second difference
Yeah.
on some of this
Point
stuff.
5.
Point 0.5,
Yeah.
point 1 on the vaulting,
Hmm.
so it's on the window vault times, it's 1.8 now instead of 1.7. Like, whoop de doo. Like, and maybe I don't know. Maybe that's normal. I guess I don't know. Also, what the vault speed is for like other killers. Like, what is the norm?
Yeah.
Um, Maybe 1.8 is the norm, but still, it still feels so oppressive to go against her. Like, um,
You're not feeling the difference with the
No,
changes.
I
It's not
I
noticeable.
no, because I still think the overall issue is the flight and also the infection off hook. Like
Mhm.
I think especially the infection off hook, and I think we can even talk about that more when we get to some of the perk changes. Yeah, she's just OP right now. They are going to make more changes to her. It's gotta be something more than just tweaking numbers, though. I feel like,
Mhm.
not saying like she needs a full rework. I think the infection part might need again to be rethought. And again, I think the simplest thing is just get rid of infection when you're unhooked. That's like the
Which would be
easiest way to do it.
different than what's currently there, but I think it would be maybe just to see how it works out. Even throw it in like the next PTB or something if they're not sure. But people have been playing her as a tunnel killer,
Hmm.
which probably wasn't behavior's intention. And we know that's typically not how they view it, but it's an easy play style to get the downs and get somebody out. Like the kill that we had when she tunneled out the Nancy, she didn't necessarily tunnel out the rest of us, but the game turned into a big game of hide and seek to where we had to communicate. And again, we by that time it was just we were being a duo, so we had a rando. But the rando is even trying to do a good job with communicating in regards to like pointing like I'm at this gen, you go
Hmm.
to that one, you go over there. We'll try to just play hide and seek with her because we realized that she didn't have like aura reading perks necessarily. So that was a plus. But she moves so fast, so she was just going between the sections really fast.
Yeah, it was like when she got
And
rid of Nancy, it became like her protecting the gens. Like
yeah,
she would just go back and forth. And we did kind of have a split, but this was on, oh my gosh, it was one of the Auto Haven maps, wasn't it? It's
yeah.
the one with
It
the
was
shack where
like
Shack's in the middle. It's not a huge map, is also the other thing.
it's got
Uh,
the two buses on each side.
yeah,
We
Shack's
got
in the
down to one
middle.
gen.
We got down to one gen. It wasn't like she demolished us at 5 gens or anything, but like because of the head form, she could just fly to one gen, kick it, fly to the other gen. So it was like we were trying to touch multiple gens,
Hmm.
and it was just like it was exhausting though too. I wouldn't say it was a fun time.
It was a very long match. Yeah.
Yes, it was very long. So I think she just thought she had it easy at that point because you're down. It's a 3v1. And that's the mentality I've heard a lot of killers had that tunnel. They're like, especially people that are new to the games, like, well, why wouldn't I do that? Then it's just 3v1 instead of 4v1. Like, it makes it easier
Hmm.
on me. But I think it's easy for killers to say that if they don't play the survivor side because it sucks being tunneled out
Yeah.
and not really getting to play that round that you've waited to play.
Yeah. But I mean, by that time, we were bringing each other the mushrooms. We were walking away from Hook to try to get heals. We were trying to alternate taking chase. So
Mm-hmm.
I think overall the match ended up longer. We were pretty good because Nancy got tunneled out at I think at 4 gens,
Mm-hmm. I got down to one.
and and we got down to one, and that one gen was over halfway by the time we died.
Yeah.
So
Well, why don't we move on to her perks that I think no one is talking
sure,
about?
yeah, no,
No one's talking about these perks, probably because I don't think they're all bad. Let's go through them. So we have the first perk is Ravenous. So whenever you hook a survivor for the first time, you gain 1 token up to 4. So 1 token per survivor. When you have 4 tokens, all survivors scream and gain exposed for at max 60 seconds. So I don't think this perk is too bad overall, but I haven't really seen anyone
I
run it.
think we've seen it all of once.
Yeah. I really don't think this one's a bad one. Like,
Mhm.
and you just hook everyone and then they're exposed. And I used this when she first came out, like trying to do adept with her and just testing things
Mhm.
out. And it's not a bad perk. I mean, I caught people, especially with her flights. If you run this
Yeah,
with something like barbecue, so you could find everyone, you could start downing, people and flying to them.
yeah,
And if
especially
and
if their survivors are grouped.
yeah, if they're grouped up, you can definitely get more than one. If they're not, then you can at least get one down and you get value out the perk.
Mhm.
We have Wandering Eye. So whenever you start chasing a survivor, reveal the auras of all other injured survivors within 20 meters for 5 seconds. And it has a cooldown of 30 seconds is the
Hmm.
lowest. I don't really have too many thoughts on this one. I don't know why you would run this. I guess because in my mind as killer, I don't know if I would. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would break chase with a survivor to go after an injured one. I guess they'd have to be close though. It's only 20 like meters. I don't know.
I
It's
feel
kind of a
like
strange
this
one.
one, I feel like this one is for the Swifts. Because typically, if you're Swifting and you're trying to actively get saves or flashlight saves, whether you're injured or not, you're going to be close by. I kind of feel like that's what the intention of this is
Hmm.
for if you have survivors who are super altruistic and are trying to get that save no matter what.
Yeah.
This could be beneficial for people trying to stop tunneling, people trying at the end game to get that save if like a door is open or something. That's kind of where I feel like this perk comes in. But you, for killers, you don't know if you're up against a swift or super altruistic players, so this might not be something you would lean to. But I also feel for this kind of perk, you would need to have a whole build around it to make it even stronger.
Yeah, this isn't a strong perk on its own.
It's
And
not strong on its own.
it's just one of those, like, I don't know why I would use this perk, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, the survivor you're chasing doesn't have to be injured. It could be they could be
Hmm.
healthy, but it's just so situational. And as a survivor, like I'm gonna try to run the killer away from other survivors.
Other
I mean,
survivors.
typically we just do it, but I've been running Bond so I can see where people are. So if I'm like with Bond, I can see like, okay, there's an injured survivor working on that gen. I'm not gonna run towards them, you know. And we are not the duo that is trying to like flashlight save or
Yeah.
anything like that. Maybe occasionally saboing and stuff, but not hiding behind the rock of Iron Will with a flashlight. Queen runs Iron Will, but not with a flashlight,
Hmm.
to run out and save. Like
Yeah, we'll try
that's not our
pallet
play style.
saves.
Now there
We'll
are
try hookups,
now
but
there are people that play that way. So like Queen said, yeah, this might be for them, but it's also just so situational. Like to run this perk for that situation only, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the perk slot, I guess is my
yeah.
thought.
I also think you'd
You
have to
could
be a
run
high
Lightborn.
mobility. Yeah, you'd have to be a high mobility killer for this too. So I could understand like the Onis, the nurses, where if you get it down, maybe you have a blink, or if you're an Oni, you can go into your power and charge. I can understand the high mobility killers, but like I don't see a trapper using this. You know what I mean?
No. No. You need
So
someone that can
the
down
lower,
people
yeah,
fast.
the lower tiered killers, it's not meant for them. So it's very situational based on one, your play style, two, what killer you're playing. Like you'd have to be high mobility to where you can easily get it down and then go get another down because you see where they are.
Okay, our last perk. This is the one I think is pointless. Hex, Overture of Doom. Spawns a hex totem that curses the farthest generator and reveals its aura to you in yellow. When a survivor repairs the cursed generator for 5 seconds, you gain undetectable and your terror race is applied to the generator for 30 seconds. When the cursed generator is repaired, the farthest generator is cursed. There are so many better perks for undetectable than
Mhm.
this. And it's a hex. Why is it a hex? Because I don't think it's that strong at
I don't
all.
think it is either.
Like, I don't know why it's a hex. Just make it
And we
a
already have
perk.
perks like this where you like the killer can kick the gen and put their terror radius on the gen.
Yeah, the unknown perk. And
Yeah.
then Pyramid Head has Trail of Torment where you kick it and it
Yeah.
highlights yellow and no terror rates until it's repaired. Yeah, I like oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called. The unknown perk I like a lot, and I use it quite a bit
Hmm.
on some killers to try to jump scare survivors. I just hate hex perks, I think. I am not a fan of hex perks. I am very much a person of certainty and like to know that my perks are going to
Mhm.
work and not go down in 5 seconds because we've had that happen where, or I've had that happen as killer. But we also had a round yesterday where there were a bunch of hexes and someone like found one right off the bat. You can spawn right on top of a hex totem and then it's gone. And to
Yeah.
me, this one is just not strong enough to warrant like bringing.
Yeah.
Yes, getting undetectable is great, but they have to be on the curse gen. It's not any gen. And what if they never do that gen? What if they find the
Mhm.
hex? It's just too. It's not strong enough. To me, hex perks need to be really strong. Does that make sense? Like blood
No,
favor,
it makes
crowd
sense.
control, and of course, devour hope is extremely strong if you can get it up. That perk can be game changing, right? You're just going along the match and all
Mhm.
of a sudden devour hope's up. Now you gotta like find that totem because
It's the
everyone's
worst. Yeah.
exposed and then
Mhm.
everyone's vulnerable. So to me, hex perks need to be strong, and this is not strong in any way.
Yeah. And as we mentioned, there's other perks that can give you the same thing that just have a cooldown and you don't lose them. But
Hmm.
also from the survivor perspective, I really do feel like with survivor gameplay, it's really rare now we load into the match that we start repairing the gen we're at. Normally, back in the day, right, everyone would hop on that gen real quick to try to get it out, but the killer kind of knows where they spawn in, kind of where you are. If a killer has really good game sense and like map
Hmm.
sense. So I would say for a while now, especially around 2v8 time, the big thing is when survivors are spawning in, we're looping around to the side or we're going to where we think the killer spawned in to start gens there because they're going to where they think you are. That's another reason why I don't think killers are going to get a lot of use out of this because it's really rare for us to be like, oh, we all spawned in a gen. We all scramble. We like say hi to each other, maybe play around in a fire pit for 3 seconds, and then we go to the sides of the map or start heading towards middle or to the back. So
Yeah, the other
I don't
thing I would
think it
add
is.
as a killer player, so sometimes killer you spawn at one like corner, and then of course survivors on the other corner more than likely. But sometimes as killer you spawn like in the middle of the map, and so
Mhm.
which gen's the furthest
What
in?
gen?
No
Yeah.
idea. Where survivors are can be kind of harder to dictate,
Gauge.
because you're like, well, if I'm kind of in the middle, like, well, there you could be almost anywhere. So you kind of have to
Mhm.
guess if you're not running lethal. So that's the other thing too. Like you don't always spawn in one side of the map. A lot of times you
Mhm.
do. But no, I've spawned in the middle of maps and it's like, well, now I got to figure out where people are and kind of just guess, make an educated guess. So again, I just don't think this is strong enough to
Yeah.
bring.
There's better perks if you
Hmm.
want your playstyle to be undetectable. There's so much better singular perks you can use if you're looking for something like this, or just whole builds you can use. But kind of like what Mocking said, if you run this, you run the risk of people finding your totem and then you're just out of perk slot the rest of the game.
Let's
Hmm.
talk about our Survivor V. And
Wait, there was a survivor that came through with this one?
I know, dude. There like because all we heard about with PTB was like tunneling, slugging, a little
And
bit
the
about
killer.
killer, and this poor survivor
Mhm.
got no love. I felt so bad for V.
I
So
know.
during PTB, because I remember I was at an appointment when PTB came out, and so like I'm like reading the patch notes on my phone, and then I'm like, oh, she has this like music perk. Like, what's the animation? I can't
Mhm.
find anything on the animation. I can't
Yeah.
find anyone talking about the killer. Like, no one is talking about poor V. Because I do think she's cute. She's in a band. Like,
Hmm.
she's got a rocker kind of vibe. And no one talked about V. Now I have seen plenty of people playing V since the chapter came out, so people are playing her. It's not like anyone hates her or anything. I just think PTB just was there was so much in PTB. They should have really
It was like
separated
a lot.
out
Yeah.
like the chapter and then all of the anti-tunneling and anti-slugging stuff they were wanting to do because it was just a lot. And so conversation was like mainly on the tunneling and slugging update. And then I feel like the killer got a little bit of attention and then like V
Yeah.
nothing.
We got very much overshadowed by everything else to the point where we had people like, "What do you mean there's a survivor coming out?"
Yeah.
They didn't even realize there
That
was a
yeah, like it's a
survivor
full
with this
chapter.
chapter. It's a full chapter,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
full chapter. So let's go over V's perks. So her first perk is Road Life. While injured, not broken, and repairing a generator, gain 1 token for each regular great skill check success. When you have up to 4 tokens, that's all maxed out, spend all tokens and gain 100% healing speed until you stop healing. Lose 1 token when you fail a regular skill check. So this is a very interesting healing perk, but I don't love it. There's too many conditions. Like
Yeah,
again, there's
it's
like better
too much.
perks.
If you want fast heals, I mean, just bring botany. Like,
Bring a med kit. Like just
bring
bring a
bring
med
bring
kit.
will make it. Bring like there is no reason for you have to be like, oh, I have to sit on a gen, and this only works if it's a Wednesday and after 3 p.m. and I'm wearing purple socks.
I kind of wonder if
There's
they
too many
wanted.
conditions.
I kind of wonder if they wanted people to use this with like self care, like up the
Yeah.
speed of self care. I don't know. We haven't tested that. I don't know. But then it's like you lose a token. No, it's if you fail a regular skill check. So you pop the gen, you would lose a token. What happens if the killer pops the gen? Hopefully, you don't lose a token.
Oh, we
Then
didn't test
probably
that,
probably not because it's not a skill check.
but you have to get great repair skill checks.
Yeah, that's the other
So
thing too. You have to be good at skill checks.
you have to be good at skill checks.
And I wouldn't bring like a whole skill check build just for this
hmm
perk. Like for hyper focus, yeah, bring a skill check build, but because there are perks, Tap has one, Stakeout, which when you're in the killer's terror radius, it makes your regular skill checks great skill checks. Oh gosh, there's another perk that makes the skill check area wider too. Is it this is not happening? I can't remember. But anyway, I
Yeah,
mean
I
you
use it.
can make it easier to get great skill checks, but why would you do that for this perk?
Yeah, and she has other perks that go along with triggering skill checks or getting skill checks. But if you're looking for, like, you would have to have a full heal build to really get use out of this and be good in skill checks. It's very situational. So it wouldn't be my go-to, let's throw this on if I want to heal people.
Yeah. Let's talk about our next one. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I
This is
love it.
the
Yeah.
this is the music
Mhm.
perk. So you press ability button 2 while standing idle to enter the performance interaction that lasts up to 15 seconds and empower survivors within 16 meters. You will get continuous skill checks during the performance. So this is different from
Mhm.
Bardic in that way. The effect lasts for 90 seconds if the performance is completed. It increases the odds of getting healing and repair skill checks by 20%. When the ability is canceled or performance completes, it goes on cooldown for 90 seconds. So more skill
I think
checks.
the best part is just playing with a tambourine.
Yes, and I guess let's go ahead and talk about it got fixed with the bug fix patch,
hmm
unfortunately, but there was a tambourine bug
Yeah, it
with
got huge.
yeah. So you had to have the was it the hand of Vecna?
hmm
You had to have the hand of Vecna and play the tambourine, and every time you played the tambourine with the tambourine got huge. Like it would get bigger and bigger each time.
hmm
There's plenty of videos out there of it, so go check that out. But
It's
like,
hilarious. Yeah.
it's hilarious. It will get like bigger than the map, basically. I don't know how they did that. But they have fixed it, so you can't find it anymore, unfortunately. But it was
It somewhat
hilarious.
lasted.
I am kind of glad they added another, instrument perk. Like, why not?
Yep.
And now we
I
just
mean,
need two
I hope
more
this.
so every survivor can have one and have a band.
If they just need to bring in a triangle, that would be great. That'd be.
I was kind of surprised hers was like a tambourine because she's a drummer. So I was like
She's a
expecting
drummer.
drumsticks or something. Like, I don't know.
I guess so. I mean, you hit the
I
tambourine.
guess.
But
Yeah, I guess so.
we were running this where I was running 1, 2, 3, 4, and Mocking was running Bardic, and we were doing it at Jen's to see if it would help with like repair faster. And I don't think like
It's a
it was
slight difference.
it's a slight difference, but it's not huge.
Well, you know what the problem is, Queen? You know what the problem is? We have killers coming to our gen and interrupting our
Yeah,
testing too. I was like, can we just try this, please?
and they didn't appreciate that we didn't stop so they could chase us. We just kept going. We were playing. And we had a couple nod their head and listen to us, and then we get in the chase. But for the most part, we were hit every time and had to
People,
run.
killers, yeah, they're trying to play you a song.
I know. This is the song of our people. Respect it, please. We're just trying to have a good time. You can tell
I
we're
know.
very casual players.
We were very casual. Oh my gosh, there was that recent survey. It was like the
Hmm.
map survey. It's like, what's your play style? Like casual. Like I would like to just goof
Casual.
off again in this game and play head
Hmm.
on and do stupid stuff again. But
Have a
no,
good
we gotta be
time.
all serious.
Hmm.
Okay, her last perk is Ghost Notes. While you have exhausted, this is not said right. While you have
While
exhaustion, it should be
suffering from
exhaustion.
exhausted.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
yeah
the DBD
behavior.
Wiki has the wording so much better
I know. I'm reading it
than
straight off the patch notes.
from the patch note.
I'm reading it from
Yeah.
the source. Okay. While you're exhausted, your scratch marks disappear 50% faster. You recover 10% faster from exhaustion. So this
Mhm.
one is interesting. I have seen some videos made on this one. I know Hen's made one using like fixated sprint bursts and stuff to like make your scratch marks disappear faster, maybe visual too. So I think this one is interesting. I think this one does pair well with other perks. So this one I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
it's a bad perk if you're trying to like disappear or make it harder for the killer to find you. Oh, you could also run it with lightweight. That was the other perk.
Hmm.
Lightweight and that makes your scratch marks I think also disappear faster and
Yeah.
they're inconsistent.
Yeah, you can create a really good try to disappear if you do like to be the looper, because I know some people out there, y'all crazy. You like to be chased by the killer all the time. It's interesting to lose chase and then try to re-engage chase and lose chase and try to re-engage it to extend how long your chase is. And that's how I've seen people using it. If you're the type of person like me who you just want to completely disappear, then there's better perks you can have. But if you are the chaser or the person who likes to take chase, there are some really interesting builds you can do with this to try to extend your chase.
I agree. This one is I would say a decent perk. I think you could
Yeah.
have fun with this perk.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
So So overall, she has like one really good perk. 1, 2, 3, 4 is okay, and then Red Life, eh.
We don't know what that is.
Yeah, you just not don't run that one unless you're doing
Yeah.
adept. Do adept and then be done.
Hmm.
Okay. So also with Sinister Grace, we got a palette density update. They call this a quality uh of
Of life
life
update.
updates. No one thinks it's a quality of life update, but basically, this is what they say in their notes. Updated various realms to adjust the quantity and distribution of palettes, reducing the presence of dead zones. So the affected realms are Macmillan, Autohaven, Coldwind, Crotus Pen, Haddonfield, Backwater Swamp, Red Forest, Yakima, Ormond, and Decimated Burgo. And it says updated all realms to draw from the same pool of available maze tile layouts. So basically, they've added a bunch of palettes
Hmm.
and they're trying to reduce dead zones, but then they've made some loops like super OP. I know Scott John recently came up with a video about it and he looked at different maps and there was I think it was the Skull Merchant map, I think, but like around
Yeah.
Shack you had Shack palette, obviously, but then like there was like four tiles around Shack. Like each side had like a tile and a palette. So then it's like, well, this is just super safe now. Like you may never throw a Shack palette because you just go right outside to a palette. So I don't know. I don't know. How do you feel about Dead Zones, Queen? Maybe let's start with that.
Okay. I I feel like Behavior should have worded this better because this is a quality of life update geared to survivors, not killers. Did they go a little too far with it? 110% yes. I could understand some of these maps. For example, Haddonfield. I 110% agree that since they reworked Haddonfield, it is extremely killers sided based on Gen RNG. And RNG is a factor in all of this as well. To where there was a lot of dead spaces. There were whole sides, like whole corners of the maps that were complete dead spaces with some of the most unsafe little one locker tiles with the pallet by a bush that you could ever have, right? So I can understand buffing those, but I feel like they go to this extreme a lot. So the main issue with this palette buff is that for your weaker killers, for example, like a trapper, this feels absolutely awful. For your high mobility killers, it doesn't matter. For the ones that could just go right through the pallets, it's really not going to impact them at all. Like a Grasu, like this is going to be like, I just have more pallets to go over, whatever. It's not going to impact her. But for your lower tiered killers, it probably feels really awful. But at the same time, right now, for survivors, it kind of feels awful playing against those higher mobility killers or the killers that have a lot of map control. And I would want less dead zones. So I don't have to, as we call it, calm corner when there's like no place to go. So I'm going to go the furthest out and just die in a corner and hope maybe they're not going to make it to a hook. They always do things to the extreme to where now people are like, oh, this sucks and this game is so survivor sided now, or this sucks and my trapper's not getting love, or for lower tiered killers it sucks. And the answer on both sides is yes. Like I don't know what else to say. I don't understand why we have to go to the extremes. Like start with one, like start with Haddonfield. Rework that again to where it's more balanced and then they wouldn't have to do these overarching changes that depending on RNG just feel awful for one side or the other. That's kind of where I land. If that hopefully that makes sense. But that's kind of my perspective of this one. I know Scott was extremely passionate about it, but when I was reading the comments, a lot of people did clarify that this is just really affecting those lower tier killers, and your high mobility killers aren't going to care about this.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they also need to figure out what they think is an appropriate dead zone because I think having like a small corner and not have a pallet is not a huge deal. It's one of the reasons I like running sprint bursts because I can get myself out of a dead zone if needed. But I have been on maps before where like a whole side of the map will not have a pallet. And I'm like,
Yeah,
well, and it's not because they've thrown it and it's broken. It's just there's spawn, no
there's nothing there.
pallets, like whole sides of a map. And I'm like, okay, this is a little extreme. Like, and I don't know if they're just changing because this last point on like to draw from the same pool of available maze tiles layouts, like it sounds like they're changing how the RNG is working for the tile setup, right? Because
Hmm.
a lot of the maps you come in and the RNG is going to be random. You're going to have different loops and different spots, different palettes. But it seems like they have just like also just added a ton more palettes. They didn't really configure like how far away palettes should be from each other.
Hmm.
Like Scott, again, in Scott's video around Shack, like, why is there like 3 or 4 pallets like right outside of Shack? Like, one maybe would be fine,
Hmm.
but like putting all of these loops together really strong against, weaker killers. Your high mobility or like S tier killers, blights, nurses, and of course now we have Krause, like pallets don't matter. I don't know. Like, did they test this? Like, this goes back to like, did they test any of this? Did they have their consultants look at this and be like, it's a little much? Like, maybe knock off
Well,
a few pallets. Like, I'm not against them
who?
adding some more pallets. And like
Yeah.
Haddonfield is kind of a strange one I feel like Haddonfield is very different from most of these other maps because there's never been anything like on the sides of the house until recently. Like they started adding more bushes. Like Haddonfield had a lot of dead zone, I think, like more than these other realms
Way too much,
with
in
the
my opinion.
house. So I feel like if they had just done this to Haddonfield, no one would have an issue, right?
Yeah.
But they did it to all these other realms that I don't know if these other realms needed it. Like
Even.
when I'm reading through these realms, I'm not really thinking like, oh yeah, like they don't have enough pallets or loops. It Haddonfield, yes, probably needed this quality of life update. I don't know if the other maps needed it. Or they didn't need it to this
I
extreme. Like if they added like
I
two
think,
more pallets,
yeah.
whatever.
I think another thing with this too is the perspectives we're getting are coming from like really top tier killer mains, right? They're playing against, for the most part, really good survivors who probably have the game sense and the map sense to create these longer loops and pair everything together. But if you're going against survivors who have no idea what's going on, you're probably not even going to feel the impact of this either. I know I don't have strong loop sense. I am a W survivor. Once you hit me, I am taking you as far away from everybody as possible to the other side of the map. I will try to loop small things together. I'm going to try to lose you. I am not actively trying to stay in chase with you. If you have survivors who are actively trying to stay in chase with you, having all of these loops with these extra pallets could be very detrimental. And that's kind of when you, as a killer, are going to have to leave, right? Typically, maybe you would have got a hit in somewhere. So you have to make the decision of, am I going to keep chasing them or go try to pressure the other survivors? But again, they have to be a good survivor, and you have to, as a killer, know when you need to leave. But for baby survivors who probably don't know how to put all these loops together and all these pallets together, I don't think it's such a big deal. It kind of probably becomes a big deal once you get to the higher MMR, you know? That's kind of my opinion on it, but I do agree. Just start out with one map. Haddonfield needs a lot of work to be, because it used to be like extremely killer sided. Then it was so survivor sided. And
Oh yeah.
now
Old
you
Haddonfield
have
is so
these,
survivors.
yeah, it was so survivor
With the
sided.
fences, the long fences,
Hmm.
like I kind of miss it though. I kind of miss the
Yeah,
old house though.
I
Not
know,
gonna
right?
lie.
Back in the day. And now it's very killer sided because you can have complete dead zones like in the park. You can have a complete dead zone on the corners of the maps. You have complete dead zones. When it came out, we kept going in and doing customs and just having it generate. And like it's so easy to 3 gen on if survivors have no sense of where the gens are. But just maybe creating, 'cause sometimes there's a whole corner when you're facing the main house on the left side of it, sometimes there's that whole corner where there's absolutely nothing there and it's a
There's,
complete dead zone. Put a little tile in.
yeah, I think they put a little tile like further up towards the front of the house, but like that back part, there's usually
That back
nothing over
part,
there.
there's
There's
nothing.
nothing, and there's never been anything back there. So it's
Yeah.
like it would. I feel like if they added like another tile or even like some sort of like feature, like you have the playground on one side. If they
Hmm.
put like some sort of other feature on that side to make it more interesting, they could put a pallet over there or something.
Hmm.
There's too much dead zone like around the house, the main house, especially on that
Hmm.
one side that you're talking about. The other
Yeah.
side with the park, there's tons of stuff. There's the pallet right behind the house. But then, like,
Hmm.
if you are behind the house and you go to that dead zone side, there's like, you're pretty much dead because there's
Yeah.
nothing over there. You're kind of forced to go back into the house if you're looping the killer
Yeah. And
and
just
then
loop
trying
on
to go
that one
out
side.
the front, basically, the side or the front. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
I think they
Haddonfield
just,
definitely needs this. I don't know about the others. They don't.
yeah, just introduce something slowly. We don't have to be like, you know what we need? 25 pallets.
Well, yeah, and again, it sounds like this is, I think it might be all these routes because they're like changing the way the the maps are generated. is what it sounds like to me in this last point. So they're changing how the maps are generated, which is causing all these pallet spawns. And I think they just need to tweak the how it's generating. Again, how many pallets should you have in an area? And how close should they be to each other? Like I don't they should not all be huddling around Shack.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
No
And
killer
then
is
from
going
the
to want to
killer,
run
yeah.
Shack.
Yeah. From the killer perspective, this is not going to feel good for lower tier killers until they balance killers, you know? So it's not going to feel good for people who like to play, Trapper or, I mean, Wraith has some ability, but even like Wraith or those lower tier killers, because there's such a disparity between the lower tiers and our S's and A's. So it, I can understand that killer perspective, but I also understand the survivor perspective. Do I want more safe areas? Yes. But now I also have to worry about stringing these together, and palettes aren't necessarily my play style. So I probably will notice this less, and still when it super benefit me, I'm looking for maps that are more balanced overall that just don't have obvious dead spaces. But I don't think we need to have, 16 pallets around Shack either. So that's kind of my perspective. They need to find that balance. But if this is something that is super impacting, then foundationally, the reason killers are feeling it so hard is because of the disparity in the level there is among killers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, just put it on windows of opportunity and you can see all the palettes all the
Sometimes it's
time.
blinding though.
And now
Have
it's
like
like, oh my God,
everything
it's yellow
yellow.
everywhere. Everywhere is yellow. Okay,
Pretty
let's
much.
let's move on to the other big change in the Sinister Grace chapter, which was the Michael rework.
Hmm.
So good news, I believe we don't have Tombstone anymore, which
Hmm.
was great because the day before this came out, I got Tombstone and I was like, I'm so done.
You did.
I did. I was like so done with this. Because it
Me
was
too,
strange because
same
he didn't
over.
tombstone me the first time he downed me. He like camped the
Yeah.
hook and tombstoned me. Oh my gosh, that was a
Hmm.
terrible match. Anyway, he's been reworked. We're gonna go through it. I've played him a little bit. I will say I don't quite have it down yet. Mainly
Hmm.
his special attack. So now Michael has three modes: Stalker, Pursuer, and Evil Incarnate. And so when you're playing Michael, you can switch between the Stalker and the Pursuer modes without needing the stalk. So you basically use the stalk mode, kind of similar to how he was before, to up the evil incarnate mode. And when he's in the evil incarnate mode, you can activate whenever you want his special ability now, which is called a slaughtering strike. So stalker mode is when he's this is what was your evil within one, right? No terror radius, and you would hold down, the button and you would stalk survivors and fill up the meter. That's still kind of the same. Does they have a note here that the lunge range is not decreased anymore in stalker mode? So this basically works the same as before, but you can switch to pursuer mode. And so with pursuer mode, this is evil within 2 is what it used to be. So now you have a terror radius of 24 meters and you move a little bit faster. You move 4.6. In stalker mode, you move at 4.2. Your lunge range, breaking speed, vault speed, and stun recovery are increased by 20%. So basically, pursuer mode, you move faster, break things faster. You're just kind of normal killer. But then we get to evil within 3, which is now the evil incarnate mode. So when you fill the meter, you can tap the ability button to activate it. So it's no longer, you don't have to like 99 the stock anymore. You can fill it up and hold on to it. Evil incarnate mode lasts 40 seconds. The shape has a 40-meter terror radius and moves at 4.6. Vault speed is increased by 20%. Now you have a new ability, the Slaughtering Strike,
Hmm.
which is basically like a kind of like a dash. It's a lunge. It's very weird. Also, this mode unlocks the ability to kill survivors who have reached a final hook stage. So basically, this is kind of not really, it's not really Tombstone. You're just getting the Mori people at the end. So the Slaughtering Strike attack. So with this one, you hold down the power button to charge it and then you attack. And it extends the lunge and the speed is 6.9, so you're moving fast, and then you can instantly down healthy survivors with it. Slaughtering Strike can break pallets and breakable walls, and has a 6-second cooldown. So I have not mastered this lunge thing. This is what has been tripping me up with the rework, because you
Mhm.
can't. It's kind of just like a straight line. I don't know if there's a way to really curve it. At least I couldn't figure out how to curve around like a corner really well and hit survivors. So let's see, what else do they have? They talk about stalking. The stalk meter now takes 5 points to fill. It was 3. Increase the movement speed multiplier when stalking survivor to 60% was 20. Stalk rate is decreased by 25% while moving. When stalk meter is not full after 20 seconds of not stalking, the stalk progress decays to 50%. So you can lose stalk. They decreased the range to 32 meters. But survivors no longer have limited amount of stock points. Basically, you can stalk survivors forever.
Mhm.
Unlike before with Michael, you could only stalk so much of a survivor, and then like the outline or their aura would kind of not aura. Like when you stalk them, they kind of have a glow on them, and when they were red, that would be like you've gotten all the stock out of
You
them.
reached max, yeah.
Yeah. So now that's no longer a thing. So this is a very different Michael playstyle. And when this first came out, there were a lot of people playing Michael. I haven't seen a Michael like in the last week. So
Yeah, I would say the last week,
yeah.
for
So
sure.
when it first came out, people were really testing him out. But he definitely feels weaker than he was before. Minus Tombstone. Like it feels I don't know. I don't know if it's just that I'm so used to the old Michael. This is different and new, and it's kind of interesting that you can switch between stalker and pursuer like when you need to and not be stuck in a certain like level of evil
Mode, yeah.
within. But the slaughtering strike is what has really like gotten to me
I think
that
it's
I
a
can't
learning
master.
curve.
Yeah, I've got to
People
learn it.
will
I don't
have
know
to
it.
learn it. I don't necessarily think the change is bad. I think it's just different enough for people have to kind of relearn how to play him. Because I feel like everyone had the same kind of play style with him. I know the last time we went against him, because he can stalk anybody, he hadn't found me yet. So he stalked somebody else and then he came to find me to kind of trigger everything and down me. So that's the perk. Like if you can't find somebody, because he wasn't actively trying to tunnel, and I think he was just really trying to test it out. He was getting stock off other people, and when he found me, he triggered everything in order to down me. So it's just a different type of play style, in my opinion. But I have watched many videos with the sluttering strike with people trying to curve it, especially around pallets that are like around rocks or things that are rounded and curved, and that's where I think the learning curve is. I watched Spooky do it in one of his videos where he finally got it when he was testing it out, but it does feel like you're kind of restricted to this straight line, which is if the survivor's just running straight in front of you, saying going for like a vault or something, then or like shack pallet, you can kind of just get right on up them and down it or break the pallet. But if they are running zigzag or around something that is curved, I think it's harder. There's a skill gap that people are gonna have to relearn for those who really like playing him with this new play style. But I don't inherently think it's awful or that he's now super weak. I think people just have to get used to playing him again. From survivor perspective, I like knowing that, hey, I am not gonna die within the first, 30 seconds of the game and be tombstones. So when I see
Hey,
him in a
yeah, yeah.
match, I am less. it's one less thing for us to have to worry about, but you still kind of need to keep track of the tiers so you have an idea of when like slaughtering strike is going to happen, who he's stalking. Like you still have to kind of keep track of the modes, but there's no worry that like, oh, we can just all be tombstoned. You typically know, okay, I'm on my second hook. I have the ability to be tombstone. I need to play safe.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, I'm not sad about
Mhm.
Tombstone because
Yeah, we're
in
not
the
sad about
last
it.
month I think I've been Tombstone twice. One of our YouTube videos I put it in there in the background for the podcast. But yeah, before the day before this update came out, I got Tombstone. I'm like, I am so done. So yeah, and then we don't also have to play around like staying on the perk, right? So you don't get Tombstone, hopping in the lockers, like all that kind of play
Yeah,
style
staying on the
is
gen. Yeah.
gone now. So we just kind of play more normal.
But you had to remind me. You're like, you don't have to stay on the gen. I'm like, I forgot. I was scared. So I was pulled and Maki was like, "What are you doing?" I forgot he can't tombstone me and that I'm not on my last hook.
Oh
So as
no.
a survivor, you'll have to adjust to because we're all very much used to certain play style.
Yeah, you can run away now.
You can
Just
run away
run.
now.
Just run away.
So it's just a learning curve, but I can I don't play him a lot. But from the survivor perspective, I feel like the start of his play, he does feel a little weaker, but as the game progresses and he gets to stalking, there is the ability for the killer to kind of steamroll if you're playing it right. But from the beginning, I wasn't super worried because until he gets to stock up, I'm like, oh, what are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
So even from the survivor side, I do feel like the start of the matches it feels a little weaker. We had gins popping, but by the time all the pressure started, we kind of crumbled with the power because we're all still learning. But that's kind of my thought on it. I don't think it's inherently bad, but it's just different.
It is different. I mean, and I have not like gone through all of his. They updated all of his add-ons and all that. So
Hmm.
if you're interested in playing Myers, definitely go check out his add-ons. I am not an expert on killer add-ons, so of course we've talked about Tombstone a lot. That's gone because of this rework. They've reworked. It's a long list. Probably all of his add-ons. It looks. I don't know how many
I
add-ons he
think
has.
every single one was reworked.
I think so too. So everything's been changed. So I see like a lot of like movement speed add-ons, like when stalking.
Lunge speed, which is crazy. The tuft of hair now, survivors become exposed when evil incarnate is active, and they have a 50% increase on the lunge, which is insane. But you can no longer use slaughtering strike. So they're trying to balance it so it doesn't feel super oppressive. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
might actually like
everything was
this better than the
reworked.
range
Yeah.
because I'm
Hmm.
not used to. So the problem I'm having, and again, I haven't played them too much, is like getting the hang of the slaughtering strike. So if you can't hit the slaughtering strike, you can't insta down survivors in
Hmm.
Evil Incarnate. Sorry, I wanted to say tier three. So maybe I need to try this where you just get like on them and hit them like normal. Because
Yeah, and
if you're an Evil Incarnate and you just M1 them, like it's not an insta down. It's an
yeah, the
injure.
tufted hair rework, the dev note even stated that that add-on was to make the shape's power work similar to how it was used to
Mm-hmm.
for people who kind of want to play the
The
original
original.
power. I mean, it's still changed, but it gets close.
Yeah.
So I think they were mindful in a lot of their changes, but it's just learning to adapt to the new play style for both killer and survivor.
Yep. Okay. Also, with this update, but
Hmm.
wait, there's more. There are a
I
lot of
know.
perk changes. Now, we're not going to
Oh
go
my
through
God.
all the perk changes. There was a lot, and a lot of them are just kind of number tweaks, but we do want to highlight some of the bigger changes
Mhm.
in here. So, on the survivor side, Off the record, they removed the endurance status effect. They basically removed the anti-tunneling part of this
Hmm.
perk. And they did remove the stipulation that disables once the exit gates are powered. So the new effect it has is that you do not leave scratch marks while you're sprinting. That's it. So now you don't leave scratch marks. So they got rid of one of the anti-tunneling perks.
Hmm.
And this is important when we talk later about what happened with the update for anti-tunneling. So, yeah, don't run off the record. Now you just have DS
Pretty much.
for anti-tunnel. Any more thoughts of outrage? I think this is stupid right now.
I guess maybe we should preface. So they
Eh,
did all these updates to all these perks with the intention of releasing the anti-tunnel and anti-slugging update, which they didn't release. So all these perks are changed due to an update that didn't happen.
yeah,
So right now in the game, none of them make sense. And none of them are working the way it intended because we had an update that never happened due to backlash from the community with killers feeling like it was very oppressive. They were trying to do too much at a time. So a lot of these updates would have made sense if we got the anti-tunneling, anti-slugging update, but they don't now because we don't have it.
yeah,
So my thing is, why do all these perk changes if you didn't put out the thing that is going to synergize with the perk changes? Just give us back the old perks on both sides until you decide to do the update. It doesn't make sense because these perks don't synergize unless the update's in play, and that's kind of my opinion on it. So,
yeah,
like off the record, put the endurance status effect back in until you actually decide to have all the base kit anti-tunneling, anti-slugging stuff. Because until that happens, this doesn't make sense.
yeah. I would say some of the perks on this list in the notes could go in without the anti-tunneling because some of them are just number tweaks, but like some of them are number tweaks though in response to the anti-tunneling and slugging update,
Mhm.
but I don't think they would make like increasing the recovery speed of plot twist. Okay, decreasing the cooldown for Lucky Star, like whatever, like stuff like that they could
Yeah.
still put in, but the stuff that is in direct response or to go with, like you said, the anti-tunneling and slugging update, yeah, you should have just held back on those perks. I don't like they pulled the anti-tunneling and slugging update. Why couldn't you pull these perks out as well?
Yeah. Like off the
So
record, tenacity, vigil, some of those I'm like, just keep them normal until you decide to go with this.
mm-hmm.
Like clairvoyance, who cares? Who's using clairvoyance anyways? Let's all be real. Friendly
Yeah,
competition,
who
who
cares?
cares? Who's using that anyways? Hope,
Some people use hope, but I don't know if it's as
that
popular
was
anymore.
that
There
was
was like a
one of
hope
the
phase, I
big
felt
ones.
like.
Yeah. A leader, who cares? Pharmacy, who
Definitely
cares?
who cares? Who's running
Yeah.
pharmacy?
But the ones that are typically in game or people are using to get away or to not get tunneled or slugged, keep those the same on both sides until you actually put out this update because some of the perks just don't make sense now.
Yes.
That's
So,
my rant.
yeah, we're going to rant about it some more in a minute.
I know.
Tenacity was also changed to have an added effect to prevent your aura from being red while in the dying state, but it decreased the crawling speed bonus to up to 25% instead of 50. Vigil, you mentioned, can't stack
Mm.
anymore. Then let's go to killer. There's a few killer ones. There are a bunch of killer things that were changed, but the ones we want to talk about is Deerstalker. So Deerstalker was specifically reworked for the anti-slugging update because Deerstalker was seeing survivors on the ground, and now it's been reworked to when a survivor sees your aura, you see their aura. Every 30 seconds, reveal your aura to the survivor with the lowest chase time for 3 seconds. So this one's kind of interesting. So it's kind of like object for killer.
It is object for
It's
killer.
object for killer.
This enrages me.
So every
Okay.
time Queen runs alert,
So
they're gonna see your aura now. Queen
I
loves to
know.
run an
Okay.
alert.
So no, have I seen this at all yet being used by killers?
No.
No. Should I probably just shut up about this so no one does do this? Yes. Am I probably the only person because I run a stealth or build that's being impacted by this? Yes. It's probably just me and maybe like one other person. This perk enrages me
We've gone
with
against it
Rework.
0 times.
So, and I've gone against it 0 times, but and I feel like I'm just helping killers here. This is reverse object. So with object of obsession, the killer, anytime the killer sees your aura, you see theirs. So that's one part of the perk. But the other perk is like every 30 seconds, you can see each other. So you can have builds, and you have to have a full build where you can pretty much see the killer the whole time, especially if they're running like barbecue or lethal. So anytime they trigger an aura reading on you, you get to see them. So this is opposite. Anytime you trigger an aura reading on the killer, they get to see you. On top of that, every 40, 35, 30 seconds, the killer can reveal an aura for the survivor who has the lowest chase time. So this is supposed to, I guess, be kind of like an anti-tunneling perk from a killer perspective, where you're trying to see the person you haven't chased or haven't found.
Yeah, that survivor
But
hiding in the corner, not doing anything.
survivor hiding in the corner, not doing anything, yeah. But for survivors like me, who I tend to run alert with distortion, that means you're eating up my stacks
That we don't have in the first place
that
anymore.
we don't have in the first place
That they
anymore.
nerfed a while back. So
So if a survivor is running any type of aura reading build with distortion, you're eating up their stacks. And we had a couple builds when we were testing it to where I could not earn stacks. So every time I earned a stack, it got taken away based on the perks that Mocking was running. So, for example, anytime the killer breaks a pallet with alert, you see them, or if you're running any of the perks where you hit skill checks on Jin and you can see them. I just couldn't keep stacks to save my life, which is very annoying because you have one perk that essentially, when it completely destroyed my builds. And again, this is situational. I understand that sometimes my builds are going to be destroyed depending on how I go in. So I want to preface to say I'm not complaining, especially since I have not gone against this. Just the possibility of me going against this pisses me off. But you have a perk that completely, if, again, situational, if a survivor has an aura build with a stealth build, that build is completely wiped and distortion is completely irrelevant. I don't think we've had a perk like this before from killer or survivor side that just makes one perk completely unusable.
I'm gonna do Queen. I'm gonna do some
What?
testing. I'm gonna run this
Oh
this
no.
perk. Not with you.
Mhm.
I'll play killer and run it and see. I'll see if it's good, if I get use out of it or not. I'll try to keep some records and see like how often do I actually see survivors with it, because this is also dependent on what the survivors are running. So
Yeah.
like while you run alert, there are plenty of survivors that don't run any sort of aura reading for the
Or reading.
killer.
Yeah.
So then as killer you would only get the every 30 seconds the survivor with the lowest chase time.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I will try to run it with some different killers and see if I get any use out of it or not. This is just one of those perks where it's going to be dependent on the survivors. Like
Hmm.
as killer, this is dependent on what if the survivors run. If I want to get more than the every 30 seconds of aura reading, right? Because
Yeah.
ideally you want more than that. You want them to be running perks where you can see them more often.
Hmm.
And I don't,
It's just like
yeah,
if you run object. I've had builds where I was testing out, I was running object and trying to do things to see the killer all the time. A lot of it is very dependent on the killers. So I
yeah.
think that's the scary part for me is one, my build has always been stealth aura. So this just completely wrecks my build. And can I go to another build? Yeah, I can completely go to another build. It's not an issue. And killers are probably looking at this saying like, "Oh, this is dumb," especially since we didn't get the tunnel and slugging update. So I can't see people on the ground because people would use this for a whole knock them on the ground and then survivors can't find each other to kill kind of build.
Yeah, this is back when knockout was a thing, but they've changed
Yeah,
knockout too.
they changed knockout. It just it worries me. And I'm probably the only one worried because no one else is going to use it that way. But the moment I read it, I just came ranting to balking. So
They're
sorry.
ruining my life, my build,
They're
my
ruining
play
my whole
style.
build, my whole play style. Will I adapt? Yes. Have I come across this at all? No,
No.
because I don't think this, and kind of like Object of Obsession, I don't think that a lot of survivors know that other than the mutual aura reading every 30 seconds or whatever it is, that anytime the killer sees you, you see them. I think a lot of people just that flies under the radar and they don't realize that hey, if they have any type of aura reading, you're gonna see them. And this is the same way when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is it really is killer object because the very first line, people focus on like the second sentence, right? That it's the lowest maybe, and again, I feel like I should not be telling killer. If you're a killer main, please don't ruin my build, but you tend to focus on the second sentence that talks about revealing the aura of the survivor and lowest chase time. The first sentence, when a survivor sees you aura, you see there. If there's any aura rating perks that the survivor has that triggers it, you're going to see them. So for me, you would just be seeing me the whole time, and maybe we could become friends and go on a picnic and I'll open all the chests and give you stuff. Don't tell me. But I'm just saying, this
Okay.
perk had me really worried.
Okay, I want you to breathe because I'm going to tell you this from the killer's perspective. Just because a killer sees you doesn't mean they're going to go for you, though, either. Because if you're in mid chase with
Oh,
someone or if you're trying to defend certain gens, you can ignore aura reading. Just because a killer sees you doesn't mean they're
yeah.
always going to go for you. You know, there are times where a killer is going to choose to ignore you or say it's not worth it, or like, I don't want to loop this area of the map, I don't want to loop Shack. So really the aura just gives the killer, to me, in my opinion, if they're not going to go for you, gives them information like, okay, I know where that person's at.
Hmm.
And they're not doing anything. You know, maybe you're just, trying to make your way to the next gen. So it's like, is it worth going over there? Is it worth going to maybe you've already done, maybe the gen's already done in that area? Like, they're not going to go over there just to chase you just because they see you. If there's
Yeah.
something better they can be doing. So,
And again, I'm just pulling
and
this up in my mind.
I know. And like we are big distortion users. If you've
Yes.
followed our podcast, you know this. We love distortion because it just saved my life many a times. It saved my teammates' lives many a time of being able to get unhooks and rescue people and get people up off the ground. I get that this could be triggering, but again, we haven't seen anyone run it yet.
Yeah, no one's run it so far.
So
People have been
guess
running
what? This
alert
week,
and distortion.
everyone, I will run it for you. We'll try it on some of my favorite killers. Maybe I'll record it. I'll try to remember. And
I'm just
we'll.
waiting for
Oh,
someone to be like, I listened to this podcast, and actually, this completely destroys an Aura stealth build.
yeah. If you come across Deer Stalker, comment and let us know because we haven't. But I'll be honest, I haven't played a lot lately. I'm playing Silent Hill F. Okay, y'all. I'm playing Silent Hill F. So I haven't played DVD as much. So
Yeah, I've gotten
uh,
back into Baldur's Gate 3.
yeah. Also, Paley had an update, so we've been doing that.
Hmm.
So we
Okay.
have been playing DVD, but like my attention is definitely elsewhere at the moment. I'm
Hmm.
like 12 hours into Silent Hill F, and it's getting really good. But besides Deerstalker, I want to talk about a couple more perks just because I've been seeing these perks a lot.
Yeah.
They buffed Hex Ruin.
Hmm.
So they increased the regression to 150% maxed. It was 100%. And we have seen this perk quite a bit. I wouldn't say every round, but quite often since they put this
Yeah,
update in.
every
Like
other,
every few
like
rounds, every
every
couple
2 or 3.
rounds. We saw it quite a bit yesterday when we played. So,
And we got yelled at Chucky. He told us GG easy.
you know what we think about that? Oh, and then he kept
It's
trying to spell
only
out
one.
pathetic like over and over again. I'm like, this kid is like 13. Like,
Yeah,
I was just like, he's like, y'all weren't doing anything. I'm like, yes, I have 28,000 points for doing
we
nothing.
were.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yes,
were
it makes total sense.
trying to find ruin because all the gens kept regressing, and
He was
then
playing like a full hex build. There was tons of like
a
all hexes.
full hex build. We found all of them except ruin. You found ruin at the very end when you're down on the ground, and he started slugging.
Also,
I
just
just told him
refusing
GG.
the hook
Hmm.
is reportable. So don't do that. Also, you can report for insults and name calling. So also keep that in mind. Don't know if anything will come of it. Like I'm not gonna say like you're gonna get banned. Like I don't know what behavior does with like all the little reports they get,
The
but
match was so easy; it lasted for 25 minutes.
I know it was so easy. You so killed us at one gen. Like
Was it?
yeah. Okay,
What were
the
you doing
other
now?
perk I feel like I've seen quite a bit is oppression.
Yep.
So they increased the random generator selection to 4. It was 3, and they decreased the cooldown to you can have as low as 35 seconds. It was 40. So I feel like this is the other one I've seen quite a bit used, and I've actually used this one as well because overall oppression's a pretty good perk. Gosh, when it initially came out though, it had a really long cooldown time.
Mhm.
So that was like one of the reasons I didn't run it as often, but now they've decreased the cooldown quite a bit since it was first released. Because I want to say it was like over a minute or something, or a minute and a half when it first came out. I'd have to like try to find that, but now it's down to like 35 seconds and they've increased how many generators it is. So I think this is a good change. I have like no complaints about oppression. I just wanted to bring it up because
Yeah.
this is the other one we've been seeing quite a bit.
Hmm.
So, any thoughts on oppression? Do you feel
No,
oppressed?
no, I don't feel oppressed by oppression. We've also seen Ultimate Weapon a couple times,
Yeah.
nurses a couple times. I mean, people are still using Dead Man's even though it's decreased in time,
Yeah, people are
but
still
definitely
using demands
we've been
forever.
seeing a lot of Hex Ruin. And then sometimes if killers do like an anti-heal build, we might see like, some of the other ones. But for the most part, it's mostly been Ruin that we've been seeing in oppression. But I don't really feel. I mean, if you find the totems, you're fine. It feels like old school kind of DBD with Ruin always being a part of it. Like I forget I have to check. Mocking's like, did you check for a Ruin? I'm like, no, I've just been on the gin having a good time doing skill checks. Like
Skill
I
check
have to
generator over
check.
here.
Yeah, and then you get off and you're like, oh gosh darn it, Ruin's here again. But I can understand why they're using it because very much like our Chucky game we had yesterday, it was really hard to complete those gens with that ruin, especially with that regression, because you get off and you get chased. Even if you get away, you come back to a gen that has nothing.
This was also in Hawkins too. So
It
trying
was
to
on a
find the
hawk and
totem, like we found like there was our teammates found like I swear one of them found
four
like
of them.
4 of them,
Yeah,
but then there was like one more we could not find that was hiding,
and it was
under
ruin.
the stairs behind a barrel. Like, and I was like, oh, there it is. I think those are all the perk changes we're going to go over. If you want to see the full list, you can look at the patch notes. A lot of them, again, are just kind of numbers changes. And of course, like we talked about in relation to the anti-tunneling and slugging update that didn't come in. So let's talk about that a little bit
Mhm.
because with the PTB for Sinister Grace, this was basically the main talking point was these updates, not even the chapter. And I think most people in the community agree they should have kind of separated out these
Mhm.
updates and had Sinister Grace be its own PTB and then maybe test this stuff in like the mid chapter or just release another PTB. You release PTB whatever you want, but they always have one for mid chapter. So they had put the anti tunneling and slugging in, and then they decided not to put it in. And I also think, my opinion, is they should probably separate out the anti-tunneling and the anti-slugging
Hmm. Agreed.
stuff into two updates. Because I feel like the problem with this last PTB was there was just too much to digest. Like there was too
Hmm.
much, and everyone's coverage on it was like all over the place. It was mainly over the tunneling and slugging stuff and not the actual chapter. Again, poor V, like, was never talked about. The
Hmm.
tambourine perk wasn't talked about. And like even I'm like skimming through it below in the PTP notes, and like we talked about like the perks. There's notes in here about the perks that are being changed for these updates. Now some of
Hmm.
these I don't think were changed. They changed off the record, but I don't think they changed babysitter or borrowed time on the survivor side. So some of these perks did not
Yeah.
get changed already,
Hmm.
but some of them did. So it's kind of confusing. For the anti-slugging, it was tenacity, no mither, plot twist. Those were all changed. And Deerstalker, Nurse's Calling were changed for the killer side for the anti-slugging. So not all of the anti-tunneling perks were changed, it looks like, because barbecue, eruption, pop, scourge hook, pain resonance were not touched. So
Yeah.
I don't know why off the record was touched. I don't maybe it was an accident on the
I
anti-tunneling
don't.
update because it's the only one that was touched out of this list.
It's really weird. It's weird.
But they did touch the anti-slugging ones. So
Hmm.
I don't know. But there have been some comments from like Scott, Spook and Jukes about, survivors mainly not wanting to play this game anymore. People
Hmm.
are DCing or having the killer get them out the match, just running straight at the killer. So it's like they didn't put these updates in and everyone's feeling them. And I think it's also a bad combo because we got the Krause. And was the Krause really good at? Tunneling. And we
Tunneling.
didn't get the anti tunneling update. So survivors are like DCing against her. They don't want to play against her. So that's kind of where we are with people not wanting to play. And I would say when we've been playing, we have had quite a many people DC out. We've
Some
had
at first hit. It's not even first hook anymore.
no.
It's the moment they get hit, they're DCing. I'm like, this is ridiculous because maybe you'll get away. Maybe they're not going to catch you. I can come body block. It's it's kind of crazy. And for the last, I think, since this update came out, the blood point bonus for playing has been on Survivor.
Oh
Like they're
yeah.
trying to bribe us to play Survivor, and no one wants to play. And I think it has is part of it these update with not getting the anti-tunneling slugging could be part of it, but like as Mocking said, with this new killer, with them changing those anti-tunnel, anti-tunneling perks and not giving us the update, it kind of feels a little awful. And also the outrage from the community, I'm just gonna be honest, was a lot killer sided, which okay, I get it. I understand. Did I think that there were some things that were a little too OP with the anti-slugging tunneling update? Yes. But I also thought there was some really weird arguments being made on killer side with like, okay, now people are going to purposely try to get slugged or tunneled. No one's doing that, killer. I don't know what you're talking about. No one wants to be slugged or tunneled. And no one's going to try to set up the perfect situation to try to have that happen. We want to play the game and have fun. So some of the arguments I thought were extremely weird for why the update shouldn't go through. And then it was a whole, this game is so survivor sided, or we just have need to have base kit ruin now, base kit this now, where people take it to the extremes. And I think a lot of it was just everyone was overwhelmed. There was a lot happening at once. There was a lot to test at once. And what behavior needs to do is add in these things slowly, not have, a new chapter come out with a killer and survivor and all these new perks, and then also changing Michael, and then also changing all these perks to coincide with the anti-tunneling and slugging, and it was just too much at once. I think they need to baby steps this in, you know,
They need to
because
make
it
it
doesn't feel good
yeah,
on either side.
they gotta make it easier for the community to understand what's
Yeah.
going on, understand because I would the tunneling and the slugging updates are separate, right? They're two different
Hmm.
things. The tunneling has a lot more to it than the slugging, especially when you read through the patch notes for it. There's just too much to test, and then like and there's other stuff that were in the PTB that we didn't even go over. There were other minor killer changes and
Hmm.
number changes, so it's like there was a lot going on. I think they should just had a PTB where they had the Sinister Grace chapter and the Michael rework, and
Hmm.
that kind of be it. And then come out at mid chapter and come out with the anti tunneling. Probably, I would say the anti tunneling is probably the first one that needs to come out because there's a lot of things. It's the more involved one, but I think it's the one where people get the most value. Survivors will get the most value out of because
Hmm.
it's going there's so much to it with the killer not being able to see who was unhooked so they don't tunnel. You know, there'll be no loud noise notification for the unhook anymore, just like all these little things. But I also want to say to your point about like killers complaining and being like, oh, we need all this other stuff. Look, it goes both ways. Survivors have also had to adapt to changes. Like when they nerfed
Hmm.
med kits, like that was a big deal. And they still did
Oof.
that. And survivors still
Hmm.
adapted. It sucked. They nerfed
Hmm.
distortion. They nerf all sorts of perks all the time. And people still play this game and people still adapt. This isn't gonna like end the game. Then putting in these anti-tunneling things because this is an issue because people are tunneling and it's not fun. You know, in a perfect world, killers wouldn't tunnel, right? And we could just all live happily ever after and
Yeah.
play the game.
And play the game and have
Play the
fun. Yeah.
game fairly, and but no, because I don't think tunneling was something they ever intended to happen really in the game overall. If that makes sense. Like when they initially came out with this game. It's like we were even talking about it the other day, like about how we used to play and how we
Hmm.
all are full like Swift had to run borrowed time because there was face
Hmm.
camping. You had face camping with the Bubba, so it's got to be the person that has Unbreakable and borrowed time that goes down because you're gonna get slugged and like the old days of like having to counter tunneling and slugging using DS also like all the time. We had one friend in
Yeah.
particular, like she always ran DS and she always got value out of
She
it.
does, just still does. She,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I also like to point out that with the metas, survivors adapt to what the current killer meta is. And the killer meta hasn't really changed. It's been the same. And if you kind of compare them with the top 10 perks for killers versus top 10 perks for survivors, survivors are being reactive to what the meta is. So this anti-tunneling and slugging update is a reaction to how killers are playing. So if there is a concern as to why this is happening, maybe you guys need to start like a killer support group
Mm.
and talk about this because this is a reaction to how other killers are playing. So if you don't play this way, this can feel very oppressive, right? You're not part of the problem. So if you're coming in this and you were outraged because you're like, why am I being punished and I don't have that play style? You're not part of the problem. However, are you doing anything to proactively talk to other people playing game and ask them about their play style and see what's going on? So this is a reaction to how a good part of the killer community is playing. And that I don't know what else I can add to it. Do I play mostly Survivor? Yes. Have I played Killer? Yeah. Does it suck when you're playing Killer and you're just getting completely destroyed? Yeah, I've been there. It absolutely is horrible. It sucks a lot. But with a Survivor, does it suck when you get tunneled out at 5 gens? Yeah. Why are we and I get some people have bad days and maybe you're just like, you know what, I had a really bad day at work and I'm gonna come home and I'm just gonna decimate people because I'm feeling awful and I want people to feel awful with me. Newsflash, that's not how it works. Like, your anger is not going to go to me and make me angry. I can't feel your anger. So, if you're using that, maybe maybe go to therapy instead. The
I mean,
DVD
I
is not the place for it.
I mean, you can use video games as stress relief. I certainly do.
Yeah.
It's not typically DVD. It's usually a first person
But,
shooter
like,
type
the
of game.
intention behind it,
But
though,
yeah,
is, like,
there
when
are
they get in-game chat and they're like, "I owned you," and I'm like, "Okay, cool, like, God bless you."
I know I've started being sarcastic,
I'm
be like,
not
"Have a blessed
feeling it.
day." Kill them with
Yeah,
kindness because because the thing is like yeah they want to
they want a
decimate you
reaction.
and then they want you to react, so here's our
Yeah,
little TED talk of don't react, be
don't
nice,
react.
because that's what they want to get in an argument with you and be like
Mhm.
you didn't do nothing all match, and then they want you to be like yeah I did xyz da, 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 and just argue back and
Yeah.
forth and then be mad at each other and yeah, just don't stoop to their level. And really, I've got to the point, if I just don't feel like dealing with people, I just turn off the chat. You can turn off the chat. You don't have to see
Yeah.
what anyone else says. And some people play that way where they just always have the chat off because it is just more peaceful to play
Mhm.
that way and to not know what anyone thinks of how you played or if they had a problem with you. Like, it's because at the end of the day, it's a game. Okay. Like, this isn't
Mhm.
life or death. This isn't anything serious. It's a video game, and ideally, video games are supposed to be fun.
Fun.
So if you're not having fun playing DBD, don't play DBD. I
Don't play
mean, we
DVD.
had our episode a couple episodes back about our taking a break, and
Yeah,
how
burnout.
we really felt better. And I'll be honest, we are playing DBD. I'm playing DBD some, but I'm not playing as much as I used to because there are just other
Mhm.
games that are better and less stressful. And if I don't want to have to deal with other people potentially trash talking me, like if I'm just not don't want to be in that headspace, then I'm not going to play DVD because there is a lot of the trash talking and a lot of negativity. And so if you don't want to deal with that, don't play DVD. There are plenty of games out there, and like I've said on previous episodes, there's so many good games out right now. Like I'm playing Silent Hill F. I have Chronos and New Dawn I still need to finish. There's so many games out there you can play if you just need to play something that is by yourself or play something. I guess my other stress relief game right now is Killing Floor 3. So if you just need to shoot things,
Shoot
to me,
things, yeah.
yeah, that's my stress relief. Like if I'm just like anxious, like I will play something like Killing Force 3, Back for Blood, World War Z, something where I'm like shooting zombies basically and getting my attention out that way. So,
And this is both sides too. I'm not saying like all killers are being douchebags. We've
oh
had
no,
plenty
no,
of
this is
matches where the
survivors too.
survivors
No,
were being
fellow
complete
survivors.
douchebags.
No, we had a
It's been
survivor that was
horrible
mad
with
at me yesterday for some reason, but they didn't say
yeah,
why.
and
They
we
just
had
said, Leon, TF. I'm like,
yeah,
what? Well, I
and you're
don't
like,
know. And then they left
"Yeah."
though, so I'm like, I don't know what you
It's
wanted me to do.
yeah. Yeah, we've had plenty of matches recently where killers were apologizing for how other people, like other survivors were playing and mocking, and I were like, we don't know what's going on. Like
We had
I
that
had a survivor
yesterday.
get yeah, and I had a survivor, was it last week, get mad at me because they went to second stage, so she just started falling around dropping pallets. But I wasn't even the closest to her. I was on the other side of the map, and by the time I got there, like the person who was closest to her, another rando, didn't bother to go get her, but somehow it was like my fault. So she ended up throwing, and the killer was like, I have no idea what that was about. We had a good conversation in chat, or like, "Oh, this is what happened." They're like, "Yeah, I thought it was weird that you ran over there because I knew what gin you were on, but I think because mocking you were in chase." And they're like, "But
Yeah.
the other survivor was right by them." And I said, "I don't know. Apparently they got mad at me." So we've been having those issues too, where survivors are purposely throwing, or we had one where immediately off the bat they started playing around and they both got downed, and we were like, "What are you doing?" So survivors are
Oh yeah.
feeling it, killers are feeling it as well, and just have a good game, because even if you have a good game and all the survivors die, or maybe the killer doesn't get a hook, we've still had games where the killer was like, oh man, that was really tough, you guys gave me work for it in the end, or oh, that was really cool what you did. Like, it's a game, go in it with a good nature and play it, and it makes it better for everybody. But when there's the whole everything's survivor sided, everything's killer sided mindset, it just makes it miserable for everybody. And I'm kind of tired of this talk where That's all it has been for like the last 2 months is people arguing about how it's better for one side than the other. And I'm like, hey, there's things wrong on both sides,
Wait,
and
wait,
there's
wait.
things wrong on both sides.
2 months. I'm like, since this game has been out.
Well, I
It's
know,
been,
but I feel like
ah.
especially with the anti-tunnel, anti-slugging thing, it's brought on this whole thing where it's now one side versus the other. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's
I don't
not
know.
the
I
intention.
feel like it's been like that forever where it's, oh, I mean, I
I
guess it just, it flows like, because they'll come up with one
Yeah,
update that's like, seems killer sided, another update seems survivor sided, and so it just goes back and forth. And I think the reality is we all need to get to is that this game is never going to be balanced. There
it's
is
never gonna be balanced.
no way for this game to be perfectly balanced. The devs are going to try to balance it as best they can, but this game is not meant to be balanced. There's too many perks, there's too many killers, too many maps. It is never going to be balanced. So there's going to be times where maybe it is more killer sided or maybe it's more survivor sided,
Yeah,
and that's just how it is. But like in ways that they can make it balanced is like killer power, like we talked about the cross suit being OP. Like they definitely need to fix her so she is not so oppressive and that she is fun to go against, because that she is a killer that is too overpowered at this point. So things like that behavior can change and make more balance. But overall, the whole game as a whole is never going to be balanced. There's just too many
yeah.
different parts to it, between not even just killer power. Did you have killer add-ons? You have maps, the RNG
Mhm.
of the maps, where the gens are, where the pallets spawn. Like we've gone all over most of this in this episode, and it's like it's never going to be balanced. So, and I really wish Behaviour would just kind of put their foot down and be like, we're putting this update in. They should have just put the updates in, the anti-tunnel, anti-slugging in. I know they want to listen to their community, but there are times where I wish they would just be like, well, we own this game. This is our game, and we think this is good for the game. And maybe we will tweak it after we put it in. And they will probably will tweak it. Even when they do end up putting it in, I'm sure they're going to tweak it, you know. I really wish they would just put their foot down, like, no, we think this is good for the game and we're going to put it in. Because how
Yeah,
much
put it in
different
and
would
see
the
what
game be right
happens.
now if the
Just
anti tunneling was in?
Yeah. Just see what happens. Put it in and see what happens, and you can remove it, you can change it,
You can kill switch it,
you
ideally,
can
if
kill
it's
switch
if
it.
it doesn't work.
Instead of, I feel like that it didn't go in due to a whole list of hypotheticals of how people felt the game was going to be and
Yeah.
not how it actually was.
Yeah, and we only get
Very-
PTB for like a week. So
Mhm,
it's like you can't, and it's only PC. So you can't test like every scenario. You can test a lot of scenarios, but
mhm.
you can't test everything in PTB. And also, where is the dang consultant program? Like, I am so confused with this game and the consultant program, and I feel like it's not being used because they're like so scared to put stuff in. But I'm like, haven't y'all already tested this? Did y'all not test anti tunneling and slugging with the consultants? Did you not test the crossu with the consultants? Because I'm just like baffled at these changes and how stuff gets in, and nothing seems to be play tested. We know they have play testers, we've seen them on the live streams. Where is the playtesting and where are the consultants? Like, because why? Because they never say anything like, we have tested this, in house, and this is going to be a good change. So we're going to put it in. They never say anything like that. So I'm just very curious, like, why they won't just do this. Why is it the community, like, gets in an uproar and they're like, well, we're just going to back off so we don't anger you. Anger
When they,
people. Just put
yeah,
it in, because now
put
people
it
are
in.
DCing. Like it's almost like we've been playing quite a bit in the last week or two, and it's like we have had people DC like every other round, I would say. Not every round. We've had some good randos, but we've also had like we had one match again where the killer apologized because two people bought it out. So it's us and two
Yeah,
bots.
within like the first like 2 minutes, two
There are
people bought it
people, and
out.
then people giving up on hook, and if I unhook them, they go run at the killer and die. This is a lot last night when we played. The people killing themselves, DCing. So it's just been kind of, we're getting to like the miserable state of Survivor again, of people not playing the
Mhm.
game. And I'm like, if you think that you might DC against a killer. If you think like I don't want to go against the Crossus, and if I go against one, I'm going to DC, don't play the game. Just don't play it at all. Don't make it miserable for other players in the game
Mhm.
if you're going to play Survivor.
Yeah. Do I want to DC against every Springtrap? Yes. Do I? No.
Oh, yeah, that was miserable too.
Yeah. I don't like Springtrap, but it is what it is. I know when I go into the game, I'm not going to get the killers that I enjoy every time. That's what it is. There's so many. There's what, like 40 something killers now. The possibility of me going against the ones I enjoy every time is low, but we actually had a really nice variety of killers yesterday.
We did,
Some that
yeah.
we hadn't gone against in a while. It is what it is. That's the nature of playing Survivor. Just like, when you're a killer, you're not going to know what perks they are. You're not going to know if you have a Swift. You're not going to know if you're going to have, you know, flashlights for the most part, unless you see them in the lobby. But you're not going to know how people are going to be playing, and that's the nature of playing killer. Not knowing. So can we all just agree that we're all starting out not knowing what the match is going to be like, and
Be okay with
just
it.
try to play to have fun? That's the nature of this game. It's always going to be chaotic. It's always depending on all the situationals, the build the killer is running, the builds the survivors are running, the map you're on, the RNG, where gens are spawning, where your hooks are spawning. Are you going to have matches where just based on map RNG, it can feel miserable for a side? Yes. But that doesn't mean that every game is going to be like that, and it doesn't inherently mean that this game loves one side better than the other. Sometimes you just have shitty matches. Sometimes you just have shitty RNG. It's how you adapt. And I think that's a big part of the game is, are you adaptable as a killer? Are you adaptable as a survivor? Are you going to do what needs to be done to ensure you can win the match? And if you're not going to do that, then just don't play. That's all I can really say. But and we have gone away and we have played other games because we're not super happy with the state of the game from either side, really. It doesn't feel super awesome playing Survivor. It doesn't feel super awesome playing killer because, like you said, you're trying to curb yourself with certain killers because it feels bad. Whereas survivors, most of the time, my issue is with my other survivors, and dependent on what the killer is doing, but that's been most of my issue. So it's like no one wants to play together. We're all unhappy in the sandbox right now, you know, because we're not adapting and we're not changing and we're not letting things go through just to see what happens, like Deerstalker, right? I'll put it back to Deerstalker. I don't like it for the perception of how it can impact me. Has it impacted me yet? No. I think that's what this update was, anti-tunneling and slugging. It was the possibility of what could happen that freaked everybody out, but it didn't go through, so we don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna feel like the first time somebody actually has Deerstalker. It hasn't happened yet, so I'm just worried about nothing. We're all just worried about nothing right now
Yeah.
because it hasn't happened. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk on fear and anxiety over nothing that has happened.
It's like what we have in everyday life, and now it's a DVD edition.
Yeah.
Anxiety. Like fear of what's not going to happen.
The fear of the unknown, fear of what could possibly happen. It hasn't happened yet, guys, so we're all worried about something that has not occurred.
Oh my.
Mm.
Well, that's everything on the list. It was a lot.
There's a lot.
There is a lot. And I expect we'll see more CrossFit changes in the future. They've kind of already said
Mhm.
that. But we'll have to see if it's going to make a difference. I don't know. But coming up, DVD wise, we will be getting the Halloween events. New
Mhm.
cosmetics are coming out, all that fun stuff.
Mhm.
So I imagine we'll be playing quite a bit more to get all of the Haunted by Daylight stuff. And then, of course, Christmas will be here before you know it. Sorry,
I know.
October. And right now they're doing like DVD day stuff, different quests and stuff for that. So be sure to check out those in the Rift section on DVD. They also recently had a map survey, which was interesting. We did that together. So give your opinion on maps.
Yeah, go check it out
Um,
if you have issue with maps right now and RNG. And they asked some pretty good, insightful questions, I
mhm.
feel like. So hopefully they take this data and make positive changes, especially with the whole palette update and dead zone update. I feel like that's part of what it was for. So yeah, please give your opinion. If you're just the person sitting and complaining about all these changes, but you're not actively engaging with the community or doing these surveys or making your voice heard, then changes can't happen. So please participate and do the surveys so they can take this data and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And hopefully good can happen.
The other thing I'll plug is we put up another part of Silent Hill 2. We're on part
Hmm.
4. We have now met Maria, and she is an interesting character. So
Hmm.
we are going to be continuing to play that on the channel, and but check out that and also some of our past playthroughs. We played some really good games. We have played like Hooked on You and Casting of Frank Stone. And eventually, we're supposed to get a Frank Stone cosmetic in the game. I saw someone
Hmm.
asking about that recently. I was like, oh, yeah. Like, where's our trapper skin?
Yeah.
Yep.
We could have just had a whole new killer and survivor,
Oh, that's
but
because the game
no.
didn't do well.
No, I really wanted a Sam survivor.
I know. Well, everyone go watch Queen's playthrough and see what
Yeah.
we thought of it.
Hmm.
I think what we thought of it is why we didn't get a whole chapter in
I
GPT.
know.
I mean, it was we had like there was one really good section of the game. It just fell apart.
I think it's one of our most watched videos is just that one part of the game,
It
but
was so good. Like
it was
everything,
so good.
it was so
And
good.
then it kind
Everything
of
was like fast
went
paced and
downhill.
interesting. The story was like coming together. So
I'm
good. And
still
then,
working on 100%ing it, but I do really like Sam as a character. Also, marketing, I think, was a big part of that, but I think that's something that behavior struggles with in general.
yeah, we've
We can
talked
do a
about
whole
that.
episode just on marketing, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's everything. So I think take us away, Queen.
We'll end it. All right. Thank you for listening. We super appreciate you guys. Please, let us know how you feel the state of the game is right now. Let us know what other games you're playing. We're always looking for new fun things to play, or if you have any ideas for any, podcast episodes you would like to hear. So far, we've done all of them except we have one that we still have to do in the works that's going to be non-DVD related. But anytime you guys have asked us to do an episode on a certain thing, we have done it for you. So please let us know if there's something you want us to discuss and go over. But per usual, we would like to wish you a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are. And bye.
Bye.